The rail trembles. The sky bleeds in shades of rust. Sundance Kid stands on the roof of the last carriage, his jacket torn, his hat long gone. Before him, open coffin, and inside them, eyes burning like live coals. One of them smiles. He cocks his revolver. What the hell is this? If you caught the scent of gunpowder in the air, you're in the right place. Like this kind of story? Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below where you're watching from. I want to know how far this legend's reaching. Now hold on tight, because the Old West never sleeps. It was a waning moon night when the rumor arrived. A payroll train, coming from the east, loaded with government gold to fund expansion into the desert. It left Dodge City at midnight. It had reached Tularosa with the sun still lazy in the sky, a promise of fortune on rails. And where there's promise, there's gunpowder. Sundance heard the tale in the back of a stinking saloon. Between swigs of cheap whiskey, a loose-tongued bounty hunter spilled too much. Nobody'll suspect a thing. Just gold and iron, a rolling safe with 2 Federals and 3 junkyard guards. The old bandit grinned behind his glass. Train robberies were an art, and he was the last living artist of the frontier. That same night, he saddled his horse, a stubborn roan named Whiskey. He mounted and rode off like a shadow in the dust. His plan was simple. Board the train somewhere between the Cimarron deserts and the old wooden bridge over Dry River, take down the guards, vanish with the gold, and slip into Mexico with a legend bigger than the man. But something didn't smell right. The train left on time, but without a whistle's cry. No coal smoke in the air, only the icy hiss of the wind and the metallic screech of wheels grinding in a funereal rhythm. When Sundance leaped from the cliff onto the train's roof, he noticed the wood of the train was damp, as if it were weeping. He crawled to the last carriage, pried open the chained and nailed door with his knife. And then he saw no gold, no safes. The train's cargo was coffins, 12 of them, ebony, etched with symbols even the devil couldn't read. From that moment, there was no turning back. Dry Needle was just dust and broken promises, a town that died before it was born. For crumbling houses, a fallen station, and an old cemetery the wind insisted on visiting. But that night, something else was waiting. The train stopped on its own. Brakes screamed like cries. Doors opened without hands. The desert's darkness stared back. Sundance stepped down, guns ready. The ground seemed to breathe. The air was too still. And then she appeared. Tall, black veil, eyes like glowing coals, skin as pale as moonlight on stagnant water. They called her Madre Nocturna, the guardian of the cargo, daughter of a time when the night spoke in forgotten tongues. She smiled, and in that smile there was no kindness, only patience. The patience of someone who'd waited centuries in that dark coffin, crossing oceans, awaiting the new world. You shouldn't have opened it, cowboy, her voice said, not from her mouth, but from his mind. Now it's too late. They've caught the scent of your blood. Sundance took a step back. The iron of his gun felt lighter, as if it no longer mattered. From the cemetery beside the station, shadows emerged, men with dead eyes, boots dragging bones, carrying ancient weapons and hunger. They were the carriers. Dead men who never reached the other side, trapped between dust and eternity, servants of the guardian, protectors of the midnight train. Sundance fired. 1, 2, 3 shots. Heads burst into dust. But more came, and they kept coming. With every step he retreated, the guardian advanced, gliding without touching the ground, with a gaze that already saw his end written in the stars. "You wanted gold, boy," she said, pressing her hand to her chest. "You'll die for curiosity." But she underestimated one thing: the desperation of a cornered man and the stubbornness of a living legend. Sundance wasn't dying that night, not before finding out who sent the train, and what the hell those creatures wanted with the West. He ran back to the carriage, locked the door, revved the engines, and the train screamed back to life on the rails. Now he wasn't fleeing. He was charging into the heart of the nightmare, because if they wanted the new world, They'd have to get through him first. The locomotive roared like a wounded beast. Black smoke tore through the sky. The midnight train barreled down the tracks of despair, with hell hot on its heels. Sundance gripped the throttle with one hand and his revolver with the other, his face smeared with soot and sweat. With every mile, the train groaned, the rails shook, and the coffins rattled. One of them opened. The sound was dry, like ribs snapping. From within emerged something gaunt, in an old suit, faded top hat, and eyes that burned in the dark. The Count, the oldest cargo, the hungriest. He smiled, and the mere gesture made the carriage's metal sweat. "This country is young," he said in a voice like an open grave. "A fresh feast. And you, thief, are the waiter." Sundance fired. The bullet tore through the creature's chest. Nothing. The Count kept coming, step by step, calm, ferocious. The bandit backed into the boiler room, pulled the emergency lever. The pressure surged. The train sped up. Hotter. His plan now was simple. Take the train to Eldridge Bluff Bridge. And jump. Let the convoy plunge with all its cursed passengers straight into the ravine. But the Guardian was waiting in the last carriage, and the carriers returned, like a plague, climbing the roof, tearing metal, howling with the hunger of 100 full moons. Sundance lit a dynamite fuse with the tip of a cigarette, placed it at the carriage's entrance, and ran. The explosion shook the ground. Smoke, screams, darkness. The train lost half its carriages, but the Count still came. On the train's roof, under the stained moonlight, the final duel. Sundance and the Count, iron against teeth, gunpowder against eternity. Sundance took a bite to the shoulder. Blood gushed, but he fought back, shoving the barrel into the creature's mouth, and pulled the trigger. A flash, silence, then the wind. The train reached Eldridge Bluff. The cliff waited. Sundance ran, leaped. Behind him, the midnight train plunged into the abyss, dragging its horrors to the earth's depths. Flames rose, then just ashes dancing in the dark. Sundance's body was never found. Some say he became a legend. Others, that he still rides alongside the train, watching the rails when the moon is low. Eldridge Bluff's bridge turned to ruin. The tracks ended there, as if fate itself refused to continue the journey. Days later, the people of Tuarosa swore they saw a fiery locomotive crossing the sky. No rails, no conductor, just a metallic wail, and a trail of smoke that smelled of sulfur and gunpowder. The paper spoke of sabotage, of Indian curses, of collective delusion. But the old-timers, the ones who drink quietly in saloon corners, always eyeing the door, they know the midnight train was more than metal and coal. It was a promise. That hell rides the rails too. And Sundance Kid? No one saw his body. Just a footprint in the mud by the riverbank, and a spent bullet lodged in a dry tree trunk. Some say he died as he lived, spitting blood and defying the impossible. Others that he still rides alone under the moon, guarding the rails against the return of those things. But one thing's certain. The night's grown quieter since then, more watchful, as if it knows someone's watching from the dark. And when the clock strikes midnight, listen closely. If you hear a distant whistle coming from nowhere, run. The train might be coming back. Enjoyed today's Legend Stranger? Then don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. What's the next tale you want told in these parts? The West is vast and the unknown vaster still. Until the next station, and watch the rails at night.